"Congratulations, you're 6 weeks pregnant." I stared at the doctor's eyes, then down at my trembling hands resting on my lap. The ultrasound screen displayed that tiny pulsing thing inside me, not mine alone, but his mark. Tyler. The alpha who used me and then forgot about me like I was some one-night plaything. The clinic's air conditioning penetrated my skin, but inside I was burning with anger, shame, and a strange kind of fear that wrapped around my chest like iron chains. The doctor lifted her clipboard and asked with a practiced smile, "Alpha father's name?" "It's necessary for the medical records, Leon." I stayed silent. Words refused to form on my tongue. Because if I spoke Tyler's name out loud, all of this would become real. It wouldn't be a lie anymore that he abandoned me when I needed him most, when I told him I'd slipped into an unexpected heat cycle and the protection we used had failed. He sent only one text message. "I can't do this. Sorry." Then he blocked me. Just like that. As if 2 years of whatever we had meant nothing. I can't say right now." I managed to whisper, and the doctor's expression softened. Perhaps she understood. Perhaps she'd seen this story before. Another broken Omega left to face pregnancy alone. When I stepped outside the clinic, rain had started falling. The sidewalk was getting soaked, and so was I. But these weren't tears. Just rainwater, I kept telling myself. My phone started buzzing in my pocket. Unknown number. I ignored it. It rang again. Then a third time. Finally anger overtook caution, and I answered. "Leon?" The voice was deep, familiar, and my heart sank immediately. "Tyler." "Don't talk to me," I said, but I didn't have the courage to hang up. Because some weak part of my heart still wanted to hear his voice. Even if it was poison. "Now you care, Tyler. When I was alone, you didn't even ask once if I was still alive." I couldn't shout. My voice wouldn't come out properly. There was only this heavy silence between us. And then he disconnected the call. I stood there on the sidewalk, phone in hand, rain washing over me. A couple walked past, laughing while sharing an umbrella. I watched them disappear around the corner, because I had no idea what would happen next. All I knew was that this baby's father was an alpha who might never come back. And me, I was an omega that society was already judging. Single, pregnant, and abandoned. A perfect disaster. The rain intensified, and I finally started walking toward the bus stop. My clothes clung to my body, heavy and uncomfortable. Every step felt like I was dragging weights attached to my ankles. Other people huddled under shop awnings, waiting for the storm to pass. But I kept walking. Maybe I wanted to feel something other than the numbness spreading through my chest. When I reached my apartment building, I stood outside for several minutes, staring up at my third-floor window. The lights were off. Nobody was waiting for me inside. No warm meal, no comforting presence, no partner to share this terrifying news with, just empty rooms and the echo of my own footsteps. I climbed the stairs slowly, gripping the railing for support. My legs felt weak, whether from the pregnancy or the emotional exhaustion. I couldn't tell. Mrs. Shen from apartment 3B opened her door as I passed, took one look at my drenched appearance and quickly looked away before shutting her door. I knew what she was thinking. Everyone in this building knew I'd been seeing Tyler. Everyone had seen him leave 2 months ago and never return. Inside my apartment, I peeled off my wet clothes and stood under a hot shower until the water ran cold. But no amount of heat could wash away the reality settling into my bones. I was going to be a parent. Alone. At 24, with a part-time job that barely covered rent, with no family nearby to help, with no alpha partner to provide the stability that omega pregnancies desperately needed. After drying off, I sat on my bed and pulled out the ultrasound photo the doctor had given me. That tiny blur on the grainy image, that was a life. My baby, half of me, half of Tyler. I traced the outline with my finger, and for the first time since leaving the clinic, I let myself cry. Really cry. Not silent tears, but deep, shaking sobs that came from somewhere primal inside me. My phone lit up again. Another unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Leon. Please don't hang up." Tyler's voice came through immediately. "I know I have no right to call you. I know I messed up everything. But I need to know, are you really pregnant? Why does it matter to you?" My voice came out hoarse from crying. You made your choice 2 months ago when you blocked me and pretended I didn't exist. It matters because, he paused, and I heard him take a shaky breath, because I'd been thinking about you every single day since I left. I was terrified, Leon, terrified of commitment, of responsibility, of becoming like my father who walked out on us. But that doesn't excuse what I did to you. Nothing excuses it. You're right. Nothing does. I wiped my face with the back of my hand. I'm having this baby, Tyler, with or without you. Preferably without, because I can't trust you anymore. You broke something in me when you left, and I don't know if it can be fixed. Let me try, he said quietly. Let me try to fix it. Please. I can't do this right now, I said, and this time I did hang up. I turned off my phone completely and buried myself under the covers, still damp from the shower, still shaking from the cold and fear and uncertainty. Sleep didn't come easily that night. I kept waking up in a panic, my hand instinctively going to my stomach, checking if everything was okay. The doctor had said the baby was healthy, that everything looked normal, but anxiety didn't listen to logic. Every cramp, every strange sensation made me terrified that I was losing this pregnancy before it even began. Around 3 in the morning, I gave up on sleep and made myself chamomile tea. I sat by the window, watching the rain continue to fall, watching the empty streets below. Somewhere out there, Tyler was probably lying awake too, thinking about the mess we'd created. Or maybe he was sleeping peacefully, already regretting that phone call, already planning how to disappear from my life again. I pressed my palm against the cool window glass and made a silent promise to the tiny life inside me. Whatever happened with Tyler, whatever struggles lay ahead, I would protect this baby. I would find a way to be enough, even if I had to do it completely alone. Leon, look at me. Your eyes are swollen and you've been ignoring my messages for 2 days straight. My best friend Nora grabbed my hands across the table. We sat in a cozy coffee shop where acoustic guitar music played softly and people were absorbed in their own worlds. I nodded, but she wasn't buying it. She'd known me since our college freshman year. Every lie, every fake smile, every hidden pain. Nora was a beta, strong-willed, fiercely protective, and absolutely terrifying when it came to defending me. She'd threatened to fight Tyler once before when he'd stood me up for our 6-month anniversary. Now, seeing me like this, I could tell she was holding back rage. I'm managing, Nora. Just exhausted from work, I said, but my voice lacked any conviction. She stared into my eyes and I knew she'd figure it out soon. She always did. Leon, you're pregnant, aren't you? She asked directly, her voice low but firm. My coffee cup trembled in my grip. My silence gave her the answer. She closed her eyes, took a long breath, then leaned forward. Tyler's baby, right? That alpha jerk who ghosted you? I could only nod. Speaking felt impossible. Nora's jaw clenched tight, fury building behind her eyes. That piece of garbage. He left you like trash and now you have to handle all of this by yourself. Absolutely not. She reached for her phone like she was about to call him and unleash hell. But I grabbed her wrist firmly. Nora, please. I don't want any confrontation. I just need to figure things out somehow, I said, though I had no confidence in my own words. How would I manage? My part-time graphic design job barely covered my rent. Omega pregnancies were complicated, expensive medications, constant monitoring, specialized care. The costs terrified me almost as much as single parenthood did. You're not alone in this, Leon. I'm here with you. Whatever pressure comes, whatever challenges arise, I've got your back completely, Nora said with such sincerity that tears welled up in my eyes. I quickly wiped them away. Breaking down in the middle of a coffee shop wasn't on today's agenda. But then the door opened and he walked in. Tyler. My heart literally skipped a beat. He looked exactly the same, sharp jawline, dark messy hair, black leather jacket, and that dangerous alpha confidence that had attracted me in the first place. He spotted me. Then Nora. His eyes carried guilt. Or maybe that was just wishful thinking on my part. Lon, he said my name like a prayer. Hearing my name from his lips should have triggered my Omega instincts. But right now I only felt anger. What are you doing here, Tyler? Nora spoke first, her voice like ice. Tyler ignored her and started moving toward our table. His alpha pheromones began filling the air, dominant, overwhelming, and I felt nauseous. Pregnancy hormones had turned his once attractive scent repulsive. "I need to talk to you, Leon." "Privately," he said, and my heart began racing anxiously, because I knew if he got too close and said he regretted everything, I'd become weak again. But I needed to stay strong for my baby. "Whatever you want to say it here. Nora is my family," I stated firmly. Tyler looked shocked. I'd never spoken to him this boldly before. He hesitated for a second, then said, "Fine. I want to be involved. I want to take responsibility for the baby." Nora slammed her hand on the table, making other customers glance our way. "Now you want responsibility? When Leon told you about the possibility of pregnancy, you blocked him immediately. What changed? Suddenly grew a conscience?" Tyler kept his eyes on me, ignoring Nora's accusations. "Leon, please, give me one chance to explain everything properly." But I stood up instead. "No, Tyler, you destroyed your own chance. This baby is only mine. You weren't there when I needed you, and I don't need you now either." I grabbed my bag and walked out, Nora right behind me. Tyler remained standing there, looking helpless, and honestly, that felt satisfying. Finally, he understood how much pain he'd caused me. Outside the coffee shop, the afternoon sun felt too bright, too harsh. Nora linked her arm through mine as we walked. "You did the right thing," she said softly. "Don't let him manipulate you with guilt and false promises." "I know," I replied, though my voice wavered, "but part of me still wants to believe he's changed." "How stupid is that?" "It's not stupid. It's human." Nora squeezed my arm gently. "You loved him, Leon. That doesn't just disappear overnight. But love isn't enough when someone has proven they'll abandon you in your darkest moments." We walked to the park across the street and sat on a bench under a large oak tree. Children played on the swings nearby, their laughter floating through the air. I watched a father pushing his daughter, both of them smiling, and my heart ached. "What if I can't do this alone?" I whispered, voicing the fear that had been eating at me since the doctor's appointment. "What if I'm a terrible parent? What if I can't provide everything my baby needs?" "Then you'll learn, just like every new parent does." Nora turned to face me fully. "And you're not alone. I'm here. I'll help with everything. Doctor's appointments, baby shopping, midnight panic attacks. All of it. You're not going through this by yourself." Tears started falling despite my efforts to hold them back. Nora pulled me into a hug, and I let myself break down on her shoulder. People walking by probably stared, but I didn't care anymore. The weight of everything, the pregnancy, Tyler's abandonment, financial worries, future uncertainties, it all came crashing down at once. "I'm scared," I admitted between sobs. "I'm so scared, Nora." "I know you are. But you're also brave, Leon. Braver than you realize." She rubbed my back soothingly. "You're choosing to have this baby despite everything working against you. That takes incredible strength." After I'd cried myself out, we sat in comfortable silence, watching the park life continue around us. A group of teenagers played frisbee. An elderly couple walked hand in hand. A woman jogged past with her dog. Normal life, continuing despite my personal crisis. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I pulled it out to see a text from an unknown number. "I'm not giving up on you or our baby, whether you want me involved or not. I'll be here, Tyler." I showed the message to Nora, who scoffed. "Block him again." But I didn't. Instead, I just put my phone away and stood up. "Let's go look at baby stuff online. I need to start planning, regardless of whether Tyler's in the picture or not." Nora smiled and linked her arm through mine again. "That's my Leon. Always moving forward, no matter how hard the path gets." We walked back toward my apartment, and despite everything, I felt a small spark of determination ignite inside me. Maybe I could do this after all. I'd thought Tyler would finally leave me alone after the coffee shop rejection. But the next afternoon, when I returned to my apartment building carrying grocery bags, exhausted and drained, there he stood, right outside my door. "Wait, Leon," he said the moment he saw me. I clutched the bags tighter and moved to unlock my door without acknowledging him. "Leon, please, just 5 minutes of your time." "No," I said without looking at him. But then he gently touched my hand, not forceful but firm enough to make me stop. The alpha touch awakened my omega instincts, and I jerked my hand away immediately. "Don't touch me, Tyler." "I'm sorry." His voice cracked slightly. "I was terrified, okay? When you told me you might be pregnant, I panicked completely. I never imagined becoming a father this young. I was immature and selfish. But I'm ready now." "Ready?" I finally turned to face him, anger flashing in my eyes. "You're ready? Well, I'm not, Tyler. I'm not ready to let you back into my life. You abandoned me when I was most vulnerable. You didn't send a single message asking if I was okay. 2 months, Tyler. 2 entire months I was alone, wondering what to do, how society would judge me, how I'd manage financially, and now you show up playing hero." Tyler's face fell. He took the grocery bags from my hands. I was too tired to resist and waited for me to unlock the door. I reluctantly did, and he carried the bags inside, setting them on the kitchen counter before turning back to me. "I know I made a massive mistake," he said seriously, "but Leon, this is my baby too. I want to be involved. I'll provide financial support, emotional support, whatever you need from me." "I don't need anything from you," I said, though my voice carried less confidence now. Because truthfully, I desperately needed help. Doctor's bills were piling up. The prenatal vitamins cost more than I'd expected, and the upcoming delivery expenses, overwhelming, didn't begin to cover it. But setting aside my pride felt impossibly difficult. Tyler took a step closer, and this time his alpha scent seemed softer, not dominant but comforting. The omega part of me wanted to lean into it, surrender to that biological pull, but I forced myself to resist. "Leon, I'm begging you. Let me be part of this journey. I'll prove I've changed, I swear." "You'll have to prove a lot, Tyler," I said, finally meeting his eyes directly. There was genuineness there, or maybe I was fooling myself again. "But understand this clearly. One mistake, just one, and you'll be permanently removed from my life and my child's life." He nodded solemnly. "Not even one. I promise, Leon. I won't fail you again." I didn't respond, just turned and walked toward my bedroom, leaving him standing in the living room. But a tiny seed of hope had planted itself in my heart, and that terrified me more than anything else. Later that evening, I heard movement in my kitchen. I'd assumed Tyler had left, but when I emerged from my bedroom, he was cooking. Actually cooking. Pasta with vegetables, from what I could see. "What are you doing?" I asked, confused and slightly irritated. "Making dinner," he said simply, not turning from the stove. "You need proper nutrition." I researched omega pregnancy dietary requirements. High protein, iron-rich vegetables, plenty of hydration. I stood there stunned. This was Tyler, the same alpha who used to order takeout every night because cooking seemed like too much effort. "You researched nutrition?" "I've been researching a lot of things," he admitted, finally glancing at me. "Baby development stages, omega pregnancy complications, what supplies we'll need. Everything. I want to be prepared, Leon. I want to be the partner and father I should have been from the start." Something in my chest tightened. These small actions, this genuine effort, it was chipping away at the walls I'd built around my heart. But I couldn't let them crumble completely. Not yet. "Tyler, you can't just show up and expect everything to be fine because you cooked one meal and did some internet research," I said quietly, sitting at the small dining table. "You broke my trust completely. That doesn't heal overnight." "I know." He turned off the stove and brought 2 plates over, sitting across from me. "I'm not expecting instant forgiveness. I'm just asking for the opportunity to earn back your trust, day by day, action by action." We ate in awkward silence. The food was actually good. He'd clearly followed a recipe carefully. Halfway through the meal, a wave of nausea hit me hard. I jumped up and barely made it to the bathroom before getting sick. Pregnancy morning sickness, except it hit at random times throughout the day. When I emerged, weak and embarrassed, Tyler had a glass of ginger ale ready. "Here, this helps with nausea." He handed it to me along with some crackers. "Small sips," the internet said. I took them without argument, too exhausted to fight. We moved to the couch, and Tyler kept a respectful distance between us. He didn't try to touch me or push for more conversation. He just existed there, quietly supportive without being overwhelming. "Why did you really come back?" I asked after a long silence. "Is it guilt? Obligation? What?" Tyler was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. Honestly, all of those things at first. When my friend mentioned seeing you at the clinic, guilt hit me like a truck. I couldn't sleep for 3 nights, thinking about you facing this alone because of my cowardice. But then I started imagining our child, what they might look like, what kind of person they'd become. And I realized I didn't want to be the absent father, Leon. I didn't want to be the mistake my own father was. His vulnerability surprised me. Tyler rarely opened up about his family. I knew his father had left when he was young, that he'd grown up with just his mother and sister. Maybe that abandonment had shaped his fear of commitment more than I'd understood. Words are easy, Tyler, I said softly. Actions are what matter. And right now I need to see consistent actions over time before I can even consider trusting you again. Then I'll show you, he said with determination. Every single day I'll show you that I'm serious about this. About you. About our baby. About building something real. I wanted to believe him. Every fiber of my being wanted to believe that people could change, that second chances could work. But I'd been hurt too deeply to throw caution away completely. We'll see, was all I said before standing up. You should go now. I need rest. Tyler nodded and gathered his jacket. At the door he paused. Thank you for letting me stay and talk. That's more than I deserve. After he left, I locked the door and leaned against it, my hand unconsciously moving to my still flat stomach. What do we do, little one? I whispered. Do we let him try? Or do we protect ourselves first? The baby couldn't answer, of course. But somehow, just talking to them made me feel less alone in this impossible decision. 3 in the morning. That's when the cramping started. Sharp, vicious pain tore through my abdomen, so intense I collapsed onto the bathroom floor, clutching my stomach with both hands. It felt like something was ripping apart inside me, tearing through muscle and tissue. I tried to breathe through it, tried to remember what the pregnancy books said about stress and cramping, but the pain was unbearable. My phone sat on the sink counter just out of reach. I stretched my arm up, fingers fumbling until I managed to grab it. The screen was too bright, making my eyes water. I scrolled to Nora's number and called. It rang. And rang. And rang. No answer. She must be sleeping deeply. She always turned her phone on silent at night. Panic started setting in. The pain wasn't subsiding. If anything, it was getting worse, coming in waves that left me gasping. I scrolled through my contacts with shaking hands and stopped at Tyler's new number. He'd given it to me a week ago, written on a piece of paper slipped under my door with a simple note. For emergencies. I mean it. Was this an emergency? My baby was my baby. Okay? With trembling fingers I pressed call. 1 ring. 2 rings. Then his sleep-rough voice answered. Hello? Leon? Tyler. I managed to choke out. Another wave of pain stealing my breath. Hospital. I need. Please. I heard rustling, sudden movement, his voice sharp with alarm. Leon? Leon? What's wrong? Talk to me. The phone slipped from my hand, clattering against the tile floor. Through the haze of pain, I heard him shouting my name, heard the panic in his voice escalate. I'm coming. Hold on. Just hold on. Don't hang up, Leon. The next 15 minutes blurred together. I stayed curled on the cold bathroom floor, consciousness flickering in and out like a faulty light bulb. Time stretched and compressed. Was it seconds or hours? I couldn't tell anymore. Then came pounding on my apartment door. Loud, urgent, desperate. Leon. Open the door. Leon. Please. I crawled across the bathroom floor, each movement sending fresh spikes of agony through my body. The living room seemed impossibly far away. I made it to the door, reached up to turn the lock with what little strength I had left, and it swung open. Tyler stood there, hair wild, wearing sweatpants and a wrinkled shirt thrown on inside out. His eyes went wide with horror when he saw me, pale, sweating, barely conscious on the floor. Jesus Christ, he breathed, then immediately dropped to his knees beside me. Okay, I've got you. He slid one arm under my knees, the other around my back, and lifted me effortlessly. Alpha strength had its advantages. He carried me bridal style down the stairs, moving fast but keeping me steady. His car was parked illegally right in front of the building, hazard lights flashing. He settled me carefully into the passenger seat, buckled me in with gentle hands, then ran around to the driver's side. The engine roared to life and we were speeding through empty streets, traffic lights streaking past in red and green blurs. "Stay with me, Leon," Tyler kept saying, one hand gripping mine while the other handled the steering wheel. "You're going to be fine. The baby's going to be fine. Just keep breathing. We're almost there." I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. The hospital emergency room was bright, harsh fluorescent lights that hurt my eyes. Tyler carried me through the automatic doors, shouting for help. Nurses appeared with a wheelchair, but Tyler refused to put me down until we reached an examination room. He only released me when a doctor firmly insisted. They hooked me up to monitors, pressed cold instruments against my stomach, asked questions I could barely answer. Tyler stood beside me the entire time, holding my hand so tightly our fingers went white. The doctor, an older woman with kind eyes and gray-streaked hair, performed an ultrasound while studying the monitor intently. The silence stretched unbearably. Then finally she smiled. "The baby's heartbeat is strong and steady. Everything looks normal developmentally." Relief crashed over me so hard I started sobbing. Tyler's forehead dropped to our joined hands, his shoulders shaking. "Thank God," he whispered. "Thank God." However, the doctor continued, her expression becoming serious. "You're experiencing severe stress-induced cramping. Leon, your body is under too much pressure, physical and emotional. Omega pregnancies require careful management. You need a proper support system, adequate rest, and significantly reduced stress levels." I nodded weakly, exhausted beyond words. The doctor turned her attention to Tyler. "Are you the father?" Tyler hesitated only a fraction of a second before nodding. "Yes." "Then you need to be present," she said firmly. "Omega pregnancies are complicated. The presence of an alpha partner, especially the father, provides crucial stability. Your pheromones help regulate the omega's hormones, reduce stress, and support healthy development. If you're committed to this pregnancy, you need to be actively involved." "I am," Tyler said immediately. "What can I do? How can I help?" The doctor provided a list of instructions. Dietary requirements, activity restrictions, stress management techniques, signs to watch for. Tyler absorbed every word like his life depended on it, asking clarifying questions, taking notes on his phone. After they discharged me with strict orders to rest, Tyler helped me back to his car. The sun was starting to rise, painting the sky in soft pinks and oranges. We sat in the parking lot for a moment, neither of us speaking. "Leon," Tyler finally said, turning to face me, "move in with me. Not permanently, just temporarily until the baby comes. Your apartment is a fourth-floor walk-up. That's not safe for you right now, especially if something like tonight happens again. My place has an elevator, a spare bedroom you can use, and I can make sure you're eating properly and not overdoing it." "Tyler, I can't." "Please," he interrupted, and his voice cracked slightly. "Tonight terrified me. Hearing you in pain over the phone, not knowing if you or the baby were okay, getting there and seeing you on the floor. Leon, I can't let that happen again. Let me help. I'll sleep on the couch. No expectations, no pressure. Just let me make sure you're safe." I studied his face in the early morning light. The fear in his eyes was real, the desperation genuine. And honestly, tonight had terrified me too. Being alone, helpless, unable to reach anyone. What if Tyler hadn't answered? What if I'd passed out completely? "All right," I whispered. "But this is temporary, just until after the baby arrives. And separate rooms. Clear boundaries. Clear boundaries." Tyler agreed immediately, relief flooding his features. "Whatever you need, Leon. Whatever makes you comfortable." He drove me back to my apartment, helped me pack essentials, and by noon I was settling into his spare bedroom. The space was simple but comfortable. A queen bed with soft sheets, a dresser, a window overlooking a small park. Tyler had already stocked the room with pregnancy books, a comfortable reading chair, and bottles of water. "Rest," he instructed gently. "I'll make something for lunch later. Just sleep now." I climbed into bed, utterly exhausted, and was asleep before he even closed the door. For the first time in months, I felt safe enough to truly rest. Because despite everything, despite all the hurt and fear, Tyler had shown up when I needed him. That had to count for something. Living with Tyler was strange in ways I hadn't anticipated. Not bad strange, just different. Unfamiliar. Like learning a new language where every word felt foreign on my tongue. The first morning I woke up in his apartment. The smell of cooking pulled me from sleep. I padded into the kitchen to find Tyler standing at the stove, carefully flipping what looked like spinach and mushroom omelets. Fresh fruit sat cut into neat pieces on a plate. Whole grain toast cooled on a rack. Herbal tea ginger, I recognized the scent, steamed in a mug. "You cook now?" I asked, surprising myself with how hoarse my voice sounded. Tyler glanced over his shoulder, offering a tentative smile. YouTube tutorials and a lot of trial and error. Omega pregnancy nutrition is surprisingly specific. High protein, iron-rich vegetables. Ginger for nausea. Staying hydrated. Sit down. This is almost ready. I sat at the small kitchen table, watching him plate the food with unexpected care. This was the same alpha who used to survive on delivery pizza and energy drinks, who claimed cooking was too time-consuming. Now he was measuring portions and checking nutritional guidelines on his phone between bites. "This is really good," I admitted after tasting the omelet, and it was perfectly seasoned, vegetables tender, eggs fluffy. "I'm glad," he said softly, and something in his tone made my chest tighten. Pride? Happiness? Whatever it was, it felt genuine. The days developed a rhythm. Tyler would wake early, prepare breakfast, then head to work at his father's construction company. He'd come home for lunch to check on me, bringing fresh groceries or whatever I'd mentioned craving. Evenings we'd eat dinner together, sometimes in comfortable silence, sometimes making tentative conversation about safe topics like movies or books. One afternoon, I sat on the couch researching baby supplies on my laptop. The sheer number of items needed overwhelmed me. Cribs, car seats, strollers, bottles, diapers, clothes in multiple sizes. How did anyone afford a baby? Tyler came home early and found me surrounded by open browser tabs and scribbled notes. "Getting ready?" he asked, sitting beside me but maintaining respectful distance. "Trying to figure out what's actually necessary versus marketing nonsense," I admitted, turning the laptop so he could see. "Every website contradicts the others." He studied the screen thoughtfully. "This convertible crib looks practical. It transforms into a toddler bed later, so you wouldn't need to buy another one. Better long-term investment." I stared at him. "You've researched cribs?" "I've researched everything," he admitted, looking slightly embarrassed. "Baby development milestones, safety standards, product reviews. I want to be helpful, not just present. There's a difference." My heart did that flutter thing again, the one I kept trying to ignore. These small gestures, this consistent effort, it was breaking down my defenses piece by piece. But I reminded myself constantly. He left once. History could repeat itself. A week into living together, I made the mistake of stepping out of the bathroom after a shower wearing only a towel around my waist. Pregnancy had changed my body in subtle ways. My skin had this glow people kept mentioning. My features seemed softer somehow. I felt self-conscious about the changes, hyper-aware of how different I looked. Tyler stood in the hallway, frozen. His eyes went wide, but not with the hungry look I'd seen before. This was different. Softer. Almost reverent. "What?" I asked, instinctively wrapping my arms around myself. "You look incredible, Leon," he said quietly. "Pregnancy suits you. You're absolutely beautiful." My face heated instantly. Compliments from Tyler weren't new, but this felt different, deeper, more meaningful than surface attraction. "Stop," I said, moving toward the bedroom. But he stepped closer, closing the distance between us. His alpha pheromones intensified, not aggressive or demanding, but warm and protective. My omega biology responded immediately, making my knees weak. "I'm being completely honest," Tyler continued, "watching you carry our baby, seeing you grow stronger despite everything. Leon, you're amazing." "Tyler, don't do this," I whispered, backing up until I hit the wall. "I'm vulnerable right now, I'm emotional and hormonal, and I can't think clearly when you're this close." "Then let me think for both of us," he said, placing one hand on the wall beside my head, not trapping me, just near. "I know you don't fully trust me yet. I know I have to earn that back. But I need you to know something important." "What?" I barely breathed the word. I love you, he said simply. Not because you're pregnant. Not out of obligation. I loved you before all of this happened. But I was too afraid to admit it. I thought if I said it out loud, it would become real and permanent and terrifying. But fear made me hurt you. And that's the biggest regret of my life. My breath caught. These were words I desperately wanted to hear months ago, words that would have changed everything. But now? How do I know you mean it? I asked. How do I know this isn't just guilt talking? You don't, Tyler admitted. I can only show you through actions, day after day, until you believe it. But Leon, I swear on everything I have, I love you. I'm not going anywhere. Tears burned behind my eyes. I wanted so badly to believe him, to trust that people could change, that second chances worked. I love you too, I finally whispered. I never stopped, even when I hated you. But I'm terrified, Tyler. Terrified you'll wake up one day and realize this is too hard, too much, and leave again. I won't, he promised, leaning his forehead gently against mine. An Omega Alpha bonding gesture, intimate and comforting. I'm here. For you, for our baby, for whatever comes next. I'm not running. We stood like that for a long moment, breathing together, hearts racing together. Then Tyler stepped back, giving me space. Get dressed, he said softly. I'll make dinner. Take your time. That night, after eating and watching a movie together, I lay in bed unable to sleep. My hand rested on my stomach, feeling the barely there swell where my baby grew. Tyler was in the next room, probably also awake, probably also thinking about everything between us. Maybe trust wasn't something that returned all at once. Maybe it was built slowly, deliberately, through consistent actions over time. Tyler was showing up, day after day, doing the work. Perhaps that was enough to start believing in second chances. Perhaps we deserved the opportunity to try again, to build something stronger from the broken pieces of what we'd been before, for ourselves, and for the tiny life depending on us both. The 9th month arrived faster than I'd expected. Time had this strange quality during pregnancy, simultaneously crawling and racing, each day both endless and gone in a blink. Tyler and I had settled into genuine partnership. The nursery was complete, soft blue walls with hand-painted clouds and silver stars. A constellation Tyler had spent 3 evenings perfecting with painter's tape and careful brushwork. The convertible crib we'd researched together sat assembled in the corner. Tiny clothes already folded in the dresser drawers. Our son is going to love this room, Tyler had said while adding the final stars. His confidence that the baby would be a boy made me smile every time. Something about alpha instinct, he claimed, though I suspected it was just wishful thinking. We attended prenatal classes together, Tyler taking notes and asking the instructor detailed questions about labor stages and pain management. Other couples smiled at us knowingly, assuming we were a typical expecting alpha-omega pair. We never corrected them. It felt easier to let people believe we were simply together, rather than explaining our complicated history. My due date was still 2 weeks away when I woke at 2 in the morning to wetness between my legs and a strange tightening sensation across my abdomen. I lay still for a moment, unsure if this was real or another false alarm. Then another contraction hit sharp, unmistakable. Tyler. I called, trying to keep my voice calm. Tyler, wake up. He appeared in my doorway seconds later, hair disheveled but eyes alert. Over the past weeks, he developed this hyper-awareness, sleeping lightly in case I needed anything at night. What's wrong? Contractions, I said, breathing through another one. Close together. I think this is actually happening. His eyes went wide for a split second. Then he switched into action mode. Okay, we planned for this. Hospital bag is by the door. I packed it last week. Your shoes are in the closet. Let me help you get dressed. He moved efficiently but gently, helping me into comfortable clothes, supporting me when contractions made me double over. The hospital bag, which he'd meticulously packed with everything on the checklist, sat waiting by the front door exactly where he said. Within 10 minutes, we were in the car heading to the hospital. Tyler drove carefully but quickly, one hand finding mine across the center console. You're doing great, he said. Just breathe through them. We'll be there in 5 minutes. Easy for you to say. I gasped between contractions. You're not the one feeling like your body's being torn in half. I know, he squeezed my hand gently. I'm sorry. I wish I could take some of the pain for you. The hospital admitted us immediately. They'd pre-registered me weeks ago. Everything prepared. A nurse led us to a labor and delivery room, helped me into a gown and hooked me up to monitors that tracked the baby's heartbeat and my contractions. Tyler stayed beside me, through all of it, holding my hand, letting me squeeze until his fingers turned white. When contractions peaked, he'd lean close, forehead touching mine, his alpha pheromones deliberately calming. You're the strongest person I know, he murmured. You can do this. I'm right here. Hours passed. The pain intensified. Doctors came and went, checking my progress, offering encouragement. Tyler never left, never complained, never showed anything but complete support. He fed me ice chips, wiped sweat from my forehead, breathed with me through each contraction. I can't do this. I sobbed at one point, exhausted beyond measure. It's too much. I can't. Yes, you can, Tyler said firmly, cupping my face in his hands. Leon, look at me. You're almost there. Our baby is almost here. You're incredible and strong, and you absolutely can do this. The doctor appeared again, checking one more time. All right, Leon. You're fully dilated. Time to push. On the next contraction, I need you to bear down as hard as you can. Terror and determination flooded through me simultaneously. Tyler positioned himself behind me, supporting my back, arms wrapped around me. I've got you, he whispered against my ear. I'm not letting go. Then came the hardest work of my life. Pushing through pain that eclipsed everything I'd experienced before. Following the doctor's instructions, counting through each push, collapsing back against Tyler between contractions. He held me through all of it. Steady and unwavering, the heads crowning. The doctor announced, "One more big push, Leon. You're almost done." I gathered every ounce of strength left in my body and pushed. Pain exploded through me, then suddenly released. A cry filled the room. Not mine, but high-pitched and indignant. Our baby's first cry. It's a boy, the doctor said, holding up a tiny, squirming, perfect human being. Congratulations. Tears streamed down my face as they placed him on my chest, skin to skin. He was so small, covered in vernix and blood. Absolutely perfect. Soft brown hair, still damp, and when he opened his eyes, Tyler's green eyes looked back at me. Oh my God, Tyler breathed, reaching out with one shaking hand to touch our son's tiny fingers. Leon, he's perfect. He's absolutely perfect. I couldn't speak through my tears. Could only stare at this miracle we'd created, this tiny person who'd been growing inside me all these months. Real now. Here. Ours. They took him briefly to clean and weigh him, then wrapped him in a soft blue blanket and returned him to me. 7 pounds 4 ounces, 20 inches long, healthy and strong. Tyler sat beside my hospital bed, unable to look away from our son. Ryan, he said softly, using the name we'd decided on weeks ago. Hey there, Ryan. I'm your dad. Ryan yawned, stretching tiny fists, completely unimpressed with the world he'd just entered. Tyler laughed, wiping tears from his own eyes. He's already judging us. He gets that from you, I said, exhausted but happier than I'd ever been. Later, after they'd moved us to a recovery room and Ryan slept peacefully in a bassinet beside my bed, Tyler took my hand again. Thank you, he said seriously. Thank you for giving me this gift, fatherhood. Family, a reason to be better. Leon, I promise you I will never leave you or Ryan. This is forever. If you break that promise, I started, but he interrupted. I won't, he said firmly. This is my vow to you as Ryan's father and as your partner. I'm here, always. I squeezed his hand, looking at our sleeping son. I believe you. And for the first time I truly did. Because the Tyler who ran away scared didn't exist anymore. The man sitting beside me now had proven himself through actions, not just words. He'd shown up, done the work, stayed present through everything. Our journey hadn't been easy. We'd broken and hurt each other badly. But here we were. Tyler, Leon, and baby Ryan. A family, imperfect, complicated but real and whole, and ours. That was enough. That was everything.